Hey guys, welcome back to IC3D people. And today I just wanted to go through some of the techniques and some of the methods and the flow that I use to create the facial mocap animation that I released earlier this week, and some of the tools and that sort of stuff I used. Um, but before we jump into that, if you could take the time to hit subscribe, hit the bell notification, that would really help me out. So let's jump into it. So here is the viewport shading view of the scene that I set up. And what we'll do is we'll quickly just go over the scene and what I've got here to set it up. So um, at the back here we just have a sort of some sort of backdrop. All that is a plane, and I've just basically put on a texture for it and some displacement on that. Um, so what we can do is let's click on that and then go into fly mode just to make it a bit easier. So you can see that there is some displacement. So probably not worth it because in the final render you can barely see it, but it's there. I didn't know that when I was making it. We also have this street lamp. Yeah, this is actually from a tool called Blender Kit. So this is built into um, Blender. So if you don't have it, just um, you can actually enable this through your add-ons, and you can see here there's a whole bunch of stuff that comes with it. A lot of it's free, but if you sign up and pay the subscription, you get a whole bunch more, and that's just come from there. And I use it regularly just to fill out scenes and that sort of thing. Okay, so the next thing is this chair. So obviously this whole scene is supposed to be a matrix type of theme. Um, we have this chair here. So this has come from a website called Open 3D Models, I think it's called. I've got the website here. By the way, before I forget, the textures for this background came from textures.com. And then yeah, so Open 3D Models, it's just open licensed models, and I basically just found this red Chesterfield chair, which is basically the spitting image of the famous chair in the Matrix. What else I have done is I have added in a little particle system, and all that's to do is to mimic some dust flying in the background, and it's just emitting this icosphere. And on that icosphere we have some shading, some basic shading, and the main lighting is coming from up here. So this is so if we jump down to the light settings, this is a spotlight, and I've made it quite high in power because we've also actually got, you might not have seen it, but we've actually got here, which is a volume, and that is to sort of give us those God ray effects. And then what I've done is I've put up a plane next to, or just in front of the light, and I've put some holes in the plane. Just all that does is give some points for the light to go through, which gives us those beams. So if we jump into a rendered view, and this is all done in Eevee, by the way, you can start to see those lights, the light beams coming through. The other thing I've done is on here, just to give it a bit more, let's jump back over here, just to give it a bit more depth and a bit more feel to it. What I've done is I've just animated this plane to move up and down, and all that's going to do is make the light move, kind of like if there was a fan or there was something moving in the distance that was causing the light to shift, and that just adds a bit more depth in the background of the final video. And that's about it really. There's another light over here I forgot about. and that's just giving another bit of fill light, but it's not very, that one's obviously only 30 watts, and so that one's only just giving a bit of fill. Oh, the one last thing before I get on to the character is compositing. So it's quite important in this scene because we do have quite a high powered light causing those guide rays. So what I've done is I've put in some color balance. So in here, I've shifted it over to the green side of things. And that is kind of just because it's a matrix type of feel, and that's just to give it that matrix sort of image. And then I've just pumped up the gamma a bit just to stop it from washing out so much. And I'll quickly show you. If I press F12, so F12, you can see we've got this quite nice contrasted image. If I take out this gamma and press F12 again, you can see how much more that's washed out. Let's plug that back in. Okay, so let's jump on to the model now. Hi, this is Joe from the future. I just forgot to go through some of the render settings. So what we've done is I've lowered down the render samples in EV down to 24, and that just greatly improves the render time, and it doesn't really give up any image loss. And so what we can do is we can just do a bit of a demonstration here. So this is on 24 samples, and then if we go to 64, which is the default, and render that out. So there we go. So there we go. It doesn't really look much different. The other thing we've done is we've added in ambient occlusion, bloom, and space screen reflections. I've also added in, I've changed the volumetrics from 8 pixels to 4 pixels, and ticked on the volumetric lighting and shadows just to get those guide rays going. The other important detail is the depth of field, which is on the camera, which I've hidden. So let's jump over to camera. There it is. So depth of field I've ticked, and yeah, and then I've just put in a manual focus distance. And that will give us, and what I've done is I've just put the focal length to 50 millimeters, and then put the focal distance to 1.4, and put an f-stop of 2. So if you don't know what f-stop does, that controls the light, or the amount of light, and this is just simulating it. But effectively, the bigger the so if I jump onto here, press 0, you can see the blur. If I jump onto the camera and go to f-stop and change that to say 10, it'll basically get everything in focus, as opposed to just what's in at the focal distance. So if I was to put 1, it would make it really blurry, but yeah, that gets a bit too bit too much. So 2, 2.4, something like that. And that just gives it a bit more of that cinematic feel, I guess, and just blurs out also the dust particles as well. Yep. Back to the future, past, present. I don't know. So this is a model from made using a tool called Vroid Studio. You may or may not heard of it. It will basically, it's kind of like a character creator, and I'll just bring it over here now. And what you can do in here is you can edit textures, clothes, body shape, and all that sort of stuff in here. So, for example, you can make them big, small, big, small. So this character here, I actually had someone off Fiverr make it for me because I just didn't have time to go through all the process of making it. And yeah, so they came out quite well, which is pretty good. And then the next thing I did was import this model, this VRM. Once you export them, they come out as VRMs. I imported that VRM into Unity. And in Unity, there is a plugin that you can buy, and it's this plugin here. It's called the Hana Tool. And what that lets you do is add the 52 blend shapes automatically for you, so you don't have to go through the whole process of adding the 52 blend shapes. So if we look down here, let's make this a bit bigger. So these blend shapes here. These blend shapes here are the ones that automatically come with the VRM, and these ones here are the 52 blend shapes which are generated by the Hana Tool, and these are the ones that line up with the Apple AR kit. So what we do here to basically get the facial mocap is, and I'll just zoom in a bit more on here on this character. So if we jump over here, we can see what we're dealing with. Now I've also bought this tool called iFacial Mocap. It's about $10, I think, or $9 on the App Store in US, or I think it was $12 Australian. And what it is just a little add-on that you can use to stream the facial mocap data from your iPhone to Blender. You do need a iPhone that has the what's it called, the 3D facial scanning. It's basically anything after a 10. So it's like a 10XR, 10S, 10, 11, 12. They all have the facial recognition software or hardware capabilities. And then what you also get with iFacial Mocap is this little application that goes in your PC. And once you set it up right, you can go connect to Blender. You can go to here, and now I have the phone on, and you can see now that it's streaming all my facial data. So if I can say R-O-U, hello, my name, it's getting my eyebrows. And if you could see the eyes under these glasses, it would also be tracking my eyes. So I can puff my cheeks out, tongue. So that's pretty cool. And then what you can do is you can record it and bake the animation in, which is what I've done. So in here, this is something that I've pre-recorded before and baked it in, and this is the speech that I've going, so you can see it all working together. So then once you press F12 and you render out your animation, you get a nice looking scene that looks something like that, and very matrixy. And that's about it. If there's any questions, please leave comments down below. Yeah, feel free to ask questions, and yeah, until next time, take care, guys.